When most people hear the word metagame, their minds immediately go to stuff like this. Matchup charts, tier lists, tournament results, you know, the meta. And from a spectator's perspective, that's really all you need to know. But the true metagame runs much deeper than any of that. The metagame is actually anything that has an impact on the game, and I mean anything. Your choice in breakfast that day? That's metagame. Whether you listen to music or game audio, that's metagame, baby. Okay, maybe I'm getting a little carried away. These things do matter, but I want to talk about something much more potent. What if I told you that it was possible to get into somebody's head and then pull out a weakness that they didn't even know existed? One that they couldn't have known because it wasn't there before you started fighting. It's not magic, nor is it cheating. That's the power of habit recognition and conditioning. All this and more on this episode of Metagame Mastery!
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Tactics like these require a lot of planning, which means we've got some hoops to jump through before we get anywhere. We need to learn a bit about our opponent, and since they probably won't just tell us their habits, we need to find a way to make them clue us in. We do this by setting up a concrete scenario, which I'm going to refer to as a question. Here it's, what do you do out of hit stun? Our friend Bowser likes to jump to regain control, so we tuck that away for later. Fast forward a bit, and we change our question to, well, what do you do if I cover jump? Now, there's a fundamental problem with this whole concept. It is impossible to create information out of nothing. If one wishes to obtain information, something of equal value must be given. You can find out what they do out of hit stun, but they get to find out what you choose in advantage state. This push and pull will make your opponent's decisions difficult to predict, because once you've punished an option, they become a lot less likely to consciously choose it again. Here's where things really start to heat up. The more specific we make our question, the faster it passes, and the more subtle it is to your opponent. Let me give you an example of the kind of scenario we're looking for. What do you do if I hit your shield with gyro? To your opponent, this is just another exchange in neutral. They didn't get hit, so there isn't any red flag to tell them this moment was important to watch for. That's the beauty of this. You get information, but your opponent doesn't know what to ask for in return. Your question looks like, what do you do if I shoot gyro at you? But really we're looking one step beyond that. This means that the reaction is going to be pulled from muscle memory, not a conscious choice. After all, these are split-second reactions. Going against your instincts is harder than you think. Let's push this concept even further though. A high-level example would be, what do you do if I aerial the back of your shield? Extremely specific, but still realistic to set up. Hitting the back of their shield in particular also removes most characters' fastest options, which means you're even more likely to get an usable answer out of them. It also bears mentioning that it is very much possible to defensively condition your opponent as well. If your opponent learns that an option is safe, they'll stop thinking about choosing it and just go for it. It's important to know when and how to use the information you've gathered, but the universal constant between all conditioning is that you need to reinforce the habit you're looking for. If you do it right, they'll bring the kill to you. Being able to read your opponent is a great start, but being aware of your own habits is equally as important. You know those moments where you pick an option and as you're doing it, you realize, hang on, this is a horrible decision. You do know better, but your autopilot doesn't. Now, autopilot is not your enemy. In fact, it can be your best friend. But it is something that completely stunts your growth if you lean on it too much. Once a bad habit has gotten into your inner programming, it is very difficult to remove it. I won't mince words here. Breaking a bad habit is a very painful process, as it involves taking a step away from everything that people find fun about Smash Bros. A win only tells you what's already working, but an L paints a very clear picture of what you need to change. Make a rule for yourself to always save and watch back the games where you lose. Not only that, but dig into it and find where things went off the rails. The more time you spend familiarizing yourself with your weaknesses, the more visible they become when you're in game. Being aware of these moments lets you consciously try to shift your options, which uproots your instinct of choice and allows it to be changed. Uh-oh, but this replay seems particularly gruesome. Sometimes the answer is not so simple as just an adjustment to your gameplay. There are matchups where your character choice can be incorrect, but it's also possible that you just don't have the experience you need to see your mistake in the first place. However, maybe somebody else could. Consider looking into some coaching sessions. There are players out there with enough experience to see most anything that you could be doing wrong. If you'd prefer to not spend money, you can find a strong player on Twitch and play with them instead. It won't be as effective, but sometimes all you need is another pair of eyes to spot that next opportunity for improvement. Let me wrap this up with a disclaimer. This all works, until it doesn't. Don't make the mistake of thinking of your opponents as static. Every loss they take gives them that much more information on how to beat you next time. But that's the cool thing about all of this. When both players are really giving it their all, both parties are growing and learning from that exchange. Every time someone passes you, you suddenly have a new edge on them because they've shown you what you need to fix and open new avenues for you to try against them. It's always building on itself, and if you're open to it, you can use it to become very difficult to beat. And that wraps up another video. I've already got a few things in mind, but I'm very much interested in what subjects you'd like to see me explore with this series. If you've got an idea, let me know down in the comments. Thanks a bunch for watching, and for now, it's been Glyphmoney.